Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
He's in the building!
Drink the moment. Drink it.
I said empty your mind.
Coquettish and coy. Ow. Ow.
What?
And there's people that are dying.
The wickedly talented.
More than great. It was historic.
Crack is wild.
Oh, good for you.
I have to apologize.
One of the hottest. Hello, and welcome back to The Reheat, a podcast that re-examines the spiciest celebrity news and scandals of yesteryear and asks, how would we react to the same events if they transpired today? I'm your co-host, Sadaf Hassan.
And I'm Sarah Sahagian, and this week we're doing The Reheat's most meta episode ever. We, two lady podcasters, will be doing a deep dive into a famous and infamous show that started out with two lady podcasters at the helm. Yep,
Dun, dun,
we're
dun.
giving you the mother load on Call Her Daddy. So, Sadaf, are you part of what fans call the daddy gang? Are you a fan? Why or why not?
Oh no, not to shit on any of the fans because I kind of get it, but no, I've never been a part of it. And I think maybe I also have a little bit of a snobby reason. As a journalist, it's just hard for me not to side-eye them, especially the current reign of Alex Cooper. I don't love her interview style, but she's become the queen of celebrity interviews, and that bothers me because she's not great at it. But I also realize they are this era of the new influencer slash journalist person, which is definitely not what we've ever done. It's a different era. They're heading it up. I don't love it. Sarah, what about you? How do you feel about them?
Love it. And I can't tell if it's just not for me, if it's for sort of mid/younger millennials, or if it's that it's not good. And sometimes I feel like it's not good, and sometimes I feel like maybe it's not for me. But we will get into that in much more detail.
Great. Perfect.
In 2018, roommates and best friends, Sofia, Franklyn, and Alex Cooper debuted a raunchy podcast that was described as what guys do in locker rooms, but with women. So that's how many people have described it. The downloads rose from 12,000, pretty good, to
Damn good.
2 million in 2 months.
Insane.
And within 4 episodes, the two hosts had a deal signed with Barstool Sports to air episodes on their network. So Sofia Franklyn quit her day job in finance, and Alex Cooper had finally made it in broadcasting. She'd previously been kind of like a fledgling vlogger. But as successful as Call Her Daddy was, it wasn't without controversy. A year into their contract with Barstool Sports, it was clear the girls, who were initially offered around $70,000 a year to host the series, were being underpaid. Their show's merch was selling out because who doesn't want a sweatshirt that reads Daddy? And they were consistently one of the most popular podcasts in the world, especially with listeners who are women. But the negotiations were not peaceful. And by the end, Sofia Franklyn had left the show. She and Alex were also no longer friends by this point. So what happened? The story is different depending on whom you ask, but this was the podcast equivalent of the Beatles breaking up.
Oh,
There's even a guy who gets cast as sort of their version of Yoko Ono.
Oh, interesting.
By the way, I see you, Yoko. I know you didn't really break up the Beatles. I'm
love
not
you,
accusing you of
Yoko.
that.
No.
Exactly. I'm not accusing you of that. I'm just saying, like, there's a guy who gets Yoko'd here. Yeah. Okay. So, Sadaf, are you familiar with the professional breakup of Alex Cooper and Sofia Franklyn? Do you have any biases going into this discussion?
Okay, so I am familiar, which is pretty wild, but that's how big Call Her Daddy has always been. I remember it was big news. It was headline news, and I actually read into it quite a bit because I was so curious what the hell happened. I had a little bit of a bias. I have to say it's shifted over time. I definitely ended up on Alex's side just because from what I'd read, and it was such a convoluted feud that it was hard to catch up when you were so late on all the drama. But from what I'd read, she was someone who felt like she was doing all of the work. She felt like Sofia didn't contribute much. And that already I'm like, oh, Sofia's not doing anything? Okay, well then Alex, yeah, go ahead. Get your money, do what you got to do, take it over. But apparently that's not entirely true. And it was harder to get Sofia's side of what was happening because I remember Alex had regular vlogs, and I tried to watch them to try and understand the Alex world. I got very bored very quickly, although she seems fine. She seemed like a fine person, but it was just hard to pick up more info. But Sarah, what about you? Have you ever been on one side or the other, or are you on one side now?
After having researched it, it's really hard to tell. I think I'm a little bit Team
Okay.
Sofia, actually. I think that Sofia makes some really good arguments. And we'll get into those. Those. Okay. So let's go back to the start of our main character's friendship. Alex Cooper and Sofia Franklyn were both looking for roommates in Manhattan in the late 2010s. Sofia came from an Argentinian background and was raised in Utah by a single mother before her stepfather later adopted her and became a legal parent to her. She earned a degree from the University of Utah and moved to NYC to work for Morgan Stanley after graduation. Sofia has also publicly discussed how it was a toxic environment for her, and she left partly because an older male supervisor sexually harassed her. So the stuff she details is pretty scary. There's stalking, there's inappropriate comments. There's a lot going on. Alex Cooper also experienced sexual harassment while playing D1 soccer at Boston University and quit the team, but retained her scholarship when the school refused to fire the coach who was quite publicly harassing her. The daughter of an entertainment professional who produced games for the Philadelphia Flyers and a therapist, Alex Cooper grew up creating videos in her basement. She even did a word-for-word retelling of The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay.
Because why not?
Sure. Yeah.
Says Alex of Entertainment, quote, I was enamored with that world. And after graduation, she was trying to make it work as a YouTube personality. She was just trying to get into the business any way she could. She initially thought podcasts were for older people, but kind of warmed up to the idea and decided to ask her roommate, Sofia, to co-host the show with her. And that's sort of how they became podcast partners. Shortly before starting the pod, Alex and Sofia, that was when they had moved in together. They actually signed a lease the first day they met each other.
Wow.
The way Sofia describes it, they were instant best friends. That's what she says. Alex noticed also that Sofia was comfortable talking about sex, whereas some girls she knew weren't. And that's what she thought made them a really good duo for a sex podcast, which makes sense. So, Sadaf, have you ever had a beautiful, fast friendship like this where you immediately wanted to live, work, and do everything with someone? I feel like it's so common to have that experience in our 20s. So I'm just wondering if you've ever had that.
A bit of an introvert, so I've never moved quite that fast. However, I think I know what that chemistry is like because I've definitely made friends very quickly. Like I know that feeling when you meet and right away you feel a spark, and that platonic connection is sweet, sweet, sweet. We don't talk about it enough. So I kind of know exactly what they were feeling, and I really love it for them. Like that's very rare.
I know, and it is kind of like, you know, it's love at first sight. It's friendship love at first sight, and it's very special, especially in your 20s where, I mean, not that friendship can't be the center of your life for the rest of your life, because it absolutely can, but in your 20s, as a society, we kind of give you permission to feel that way. So it's this decade where you really do get to focus on your friendships, and no one gives you side eye for that. So it's really beautiful when you have a best friend who's going through all these experiences with you. And if the more you can share with them, the more beautiful it can become, unless it turns ugly, which Alex alleges it did. And Sofia definitely alleges it did.
Yeah, and you know what? I do want to say too, like one thing I have to add, I love that these two came from such an educated background. Like they loved what they were doing. The fact that Alex was playing soccer, the fact that Sofia was in finance, like I'm very impressed. And you know why I'm impressed? I don't want to say like I just wrote these two off for whatever reason, but Call Her Daddy has this image, and it certainly started off this way, of these two not being like the brightest people. Like it gives a bit of a bimbo aesthetic. Now, I know people are going to hate me for saying that, but that is what I felt in the beginning. That's also Barstool Sports for you. If you don't know Barstool Sports, it is the entire company exudes toxic masculinity. They're kind of proud of it. And for them to take on these women in this way, immediately I was like, interesting. It gives the impression of guys, girls. And that's something that I have a hard time not writing off. And maybe that's something I have to deal with personally, but we'll learn as we go. We learn as we go.
I mean, it is interesting that the origin story, at least for Sofia, was literally escaping being sexually harassed for a man.
Yeah.
Like this was her parachute out. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe she felt like she had to perform the role of guy's girl to get these people to pay her money, but that was
True.
to escape this kind of situation that was pretty hellish, to be honest. The origins of Call Her Daddy as a concept are also a little bit murky. So in the documentary that is now airing on Disney Plus in Canada, Call Her Alex, Alex Cooper suggests the show was just entirely her idea. And she suggested that she was the one who brought in Sofia, like it was just entirely her idea, her concept. She doesn't even mention the friend who is nicknamed Milk Hunter, that if you're in the daddy gang, you've heard of him. That's how they referred to him. Apparently, MILF Hunter has said on Sofia with an F, Sofia Franklyn's new podcast, he said on the second episode, essentially like it was his idea. Like he suggested this to Alex. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know. But it's important to note that if that is true, that's pretty upsetting because he didn't really get paid for Call Her Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he claims it is originally his idea. And Sofia agrees with that. Sofia also stands by that. Like she had him on her podcast talking about that.
Wow.
So that's what she says is the origin story too. So it gets a little bit complicated. It seems like it took a village to create Call Her Daddy, right?
Yeah.
It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to create a sex podcast. Anyway, I'm not trying to...
No, I think, listen, it happens. It's like a whole franchise now. Like, that's not so crazy. But I also wonder if for Alex Cooper, then it's a thing because she's become such a celebrity now. She's such a name, very much on her own. People never mention Sofia anymore. So I wonder if for her, she feels like she has to own this entire brand from beginning to end so nobody else can take claim, nobody else can interfere with what she's got going on because it is so big now. But I also think if that's not true, that's really unfortunate. It's important to give kudos to the people who helped you get you where you are, which includes Sofia.
Yeah. So anyway, the girls soon became a cultural sensation, adding new language like unwell to the cultural lexicon and educating young women on an oral sex technique that Alex Cooper popularized called, and I quote, the Gluck Gluck 9000. You can look it up.
I think that's how I heard about them to begin with, where I was like, oh, okay. Let me Google this up. What is that?
It's not revolutionary. I'm just saying, look it up. Like it's funny. She feels like she invented this. Alex Cooper is one step away from saying she invented Post-its.
Yeah. This tells us a lot.
Yeah. So some fans insist this technique got them a boyfriend.
Okay.
The girls also became famous for their candor, talking frankly about orgasms, BDSM, and a host of other things. They dubbed their fans the Daddy Gang, and that was that. They had this legion of people who were obsessed with the show, obsessed with Alex and Sofia's lives. They just wanted to know everything. And the girls did talk pretty explicitly about their dating lives, about their sex lives. They shared a lot. It was pretty vulnerable. In the recently released Call Her Alex, Cooper asserts that at the time CHD premiered, the show was such an instant success because no one was talking this sexually and this salaciously. But was that true in 2018? I can think of tons of podcasts, including Girls Gotta Eat, Why Won't You Date Me, and more that have done similar work and did so at a similar time. Sadaf, why do you think CHD broke so big and got the credit for being groundbreaking when, I mean, at the very least, there were other people who were doing this at the same time, contemporaneously?
Yeah, I mean, that's such bullshit. Come on, 2018, like this was conversation that was already happening. Was not even remotely revolutionary. I think this is my theory that what helped them break so big and what made them stand out is because they were being essentially girls, guys, or guys, girls, as I mentioned earlier. I think they were really marketing themselves towards the male gaze rather than the female gaze. And I think they had a significant number of male listeners, more than any other show where it's two women talking about sex. Like, I know some men who listen to Call Her Daddy. Like, this is an active thing on social. You can find easily many men who listen to this show. That's not something I'd heard of before. I don't know men who listen to Why Won't You Date Me, you know? By the way, that's a great podcast and a better podcast, but that doesn't matter because they managed to pick up both men and women, which I think is definitely interesting. And again, because they had Barstool behind them, Barstool is massive. And I think with that manpower, emphasis on man, they were pretty tough to compete with. There's nobody around quite like them. And also these are two women who are very conventionally attractive, like extremely so, both of them. And so that just added to the appeal. Like the Gluck Gluck Nine, perfect example of them catering to a male audience more than anybody else. Like they're telling you how to blow your man so he's happy. They're not telling you how you should get your pleasure. They're telling you how he should get his pleasure. Like that's their main thing. It says a lot. Even the name, Call Her Daddy. Come on now. Who is that for? That's not for us.
No, and it's also kind of funny because I understand that podcasting is new, but like Dr. Ruth, that's a radio show, was on in the 90s. Like you had this lovely woman talking very explicitly about sex in the 80s, right? And then you had Sex and the City on TV in the 90s and early O's, right? Like these conversations were not at all new. They weren't revolutionary. I mean, I would have more respect for Alex Cooper if she said, like, we were the first sort of our micro generation to do this, or we were the best marketed. So we became the face of sex for a micro generation. Kind of like how Girls was not the only text that was speaking to what it was like to be an elder millennial, but it hit big and it became the face of a lot of elder millennials experiences. No, it wasn't completely representative, but neither is CHD. Like if she just sort of had a bit more humility, I would say, okay, yeah, that's a fair origin story. People in your demo were craving this. You were really good at marketing. You had the privilege of being conventionally attractive. And if she just were a bit more self-aware, I would say, yeah, fine. Like it's not your fault that you're pretty. Like you can still do good work and be attractive, right?
Of course.
Exactly. But there's no humility, at least that I can see.
No, and I want to add one thing to it, because if you have all of those things, that's fine if you have good content. Because I want to make it clear, we're not dumping on these women because they're hot. Like that's not what's happening here. The content was not good. Like I listened to multiple episodes because I wanted to be a part of this too. I wanted to be a fan of their show too and support it. Like I love talking about sex. I take in a lot of sex content. This was not what it was sold as to me, frankly. I just thought it was two women rambling. And a lot of the time they wouldn't even stay on one topic. They would jump over to the next. And it was raunchy, but like not in a way where there was actually a reason. Like it just didn't come together. It didn't flow. It didn't feel like anybody was editing. I know famously Alex is the one who edits, but it never felt like there was an edit.
I know.
Right? It wasn't a well done podcast. And I know now Call Her Daddy is very different from what it was then, but it wasn't good. I'm sorry. Objectively, it wasn't good.
Yeah. What I found very weird was they were two very young girls with really old pop culture references. I remember listening to one of the older episodes and they went just in this really in-depth conversation about Entourage. It was very bizarre. And so I was just like, this isn't even zeitgeisty. Like, you're not even talking about stuff that's culturally relevant now.
That is really interesting. I mean, Entourage, again, a very Barstool show. Very Barstool show, just saying.
Exactly. Okay, so according to Alex Cooper, the initial goal of Call Her Daddy was always female empowerment, even before she broadened the range of issues they discussed on the show. So in her doc, she states, "We're not turning the tables on men. We're just saying that girls can be daddies too." Okay. As Alex, so I don't know how empowering that is. It's like we're not even turning the tables. We're not really challenging gender roles. We just want like a little bit more power, just a little bit. Like this is so polite to men. It's like just a little bit more, just a little bit more. You can still have all your power, but we shall also have some too. Don't give us anything that requires you to sacrifice.
Exactly. And this is what I'm saying. This is just adding up to my theory, which I love, that they were being very careful to cater to men and women and to cater a very male positive show.
Yeah. It's such
like
non-threatening feminism.
Perfectly said. I have a hard time imagining they ever even used the word feminist on the show.
I mean, in the doc, they use it a lot. And
I'm sure in the doc.
Yeah, in the doc.
Because now this is what's so interesting to me, and I'm sure we're going to dig into it, but Alex's branding has changed to more of that. But before she became a quote-unquote celebrity interviewer, the show was not that. And especially when Sofia was on and they were doing it together. Not that I'm putting the blame on Sofia, but I think together that was what they were trying to corner in the market. And again, in a way it's smart because it was very specific. It was very singular. But as a female listener, I can't say that I was a fan. And as someone who considers themselves a feminist, I wonder if you asked them back then what they would have said to that question. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Alex says it was always about, quote, trying to make women feel liberated. Like none other than Gayle King in the documentary refers to Alex as a girl's girl.
Really?
Which, Gail, come on, man. That's not good for your credibility. I love you, Gail, but I don't think I would use Alex Cooper as the poster child for girls. That's just my opinion.
Also, Gail was a talking head on this doc. Gail, what are you doing? She just went to space. Now she did this.
Gail's in crisis. Gail needs help. Like, Oprah, go help your friend. Get your girl. Like, this is not normal for Gail to do things like this.
Get her away from the white people. Like, Gail, cut it
Save
out.
Gail. Save Gail. Okay, so I'm going to read a segment from a 2021 piece by Aya Hibben, which appeared in the Daily Utah Chronicle. And it actually makes quite a good argument about why Call Her Daddy isn't really a feminist show. So she says, quote, "While this podcast did start new sex positive conversations around women discussing their experiences, it continues to appeal to old misogynistic standards that are anti-feminist. Indeed, there are episodes where Sofia and Alex suggest women should consider lying about their sexual numbers if they are high." So that's from me. "They also seem to use rankings of women from 1 to 10 rather than truly pushing against antiquated beauty standards." So like there's stuff like that.
They ranked women?
They refer to that. Like they refer to your ranking, like 1 to 10, like how to act if you're a certain number. Yeah, lots of stuff like that.
How is this liberating? That sounds very exclusionary and very like Mean Girls, quite frankly.
Yeah. I don't really have a defense for that. I think you're right.
That's okay. Maybe there isn't one.
Also, the very nature of having worked with Barstool Sports is arguably anti-feminist. And I mean, I think I'm not the first person to point this out. Lots of people pointed this out. And Aya Hibben also points this out in her article. In 2010, Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy literally posted on the internet the following comment: "If you're a size 6 and you're wearing skinny jeans, you kind of deserve to be raped." So just working for Barstool in and of itself is pretty hard to reconcile with feminism. And it's funny because I actually necessarily fault them for signing the deal to begin with. The initial deal where they're making $70,000 a year and like Sofia is trying to escape being sexually harassed, Alex is trying to be employed at all. I kind of get it. Like you do some desperate things, but I do understand why Sofia wanted to jump ship as soon as she could. I do kind of get that. This seems like a really toxic environment. Okay, so of course, as the series evolved, it did feature episodes where Cooper challenged pro-life activists on reproductive rights, and she even interviewed VP Kamala Harris when she ran for president in 2024. My question to you, Sadaf, is this enough? Will the Gluck Gluck 9000 always be the show's key legacy? Can it rebrand and actually be a feminist text?
And I think it kind of has, to be honest. Not necessarily effectively, not necessarily for me, but for an audience. Like, I don't think a lot of people associate the show still with the Gluck Gluck 9000 because I think it also feels like a totally different show now. Like, I'm sure she has a lot of different fans now than she did before. In the beginning, I would have considered it more of, a show where it's two friends talking about sex. And now it doesn't seem like that at all. Now it seems like it is very much a more surface level interview series. And I think it is tougher when you're one person. Like Alex on her own, it's harder to run a podcast and talk openly about sex in the way she did with Sofia. Like it's helpful to have somebody else to bounce that off with, right? So in that sense, I don't think it's a bad idea that she's doing an interview series. But for me, somebody who remembers how this show started, it's hard to forget the roots. And to now see her interviewing someone like Kamala or like Sarah Jessica Parker, like, she's interviewed every goddamn person. I find it very difficult. And she's asking them questions that also don't get very deep. So it's hard for me to see this show as of any substance. I'm so sorry to say that, Alex. Although, what does it matter what I think? This woman's got so many listeners and fans. It's not like it's changed that. I think what people are here for is Alex Cooper. They're not here for Call Her Daddy anymore, right? Like this is the Alex Cooper show. Forget Call Her Daddy, which is in one sense impressive that she was able to do that once Sofia had parted ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on a technical level a really big achievement in branding and marketing. So We can't talk about Call Her Daddy without talking about the demise of Alex Cooper and Sofia Franklyn's partnership. So we're going to go deep right now. Basically, a year in, it became clear that the millions of downloads CHD was earning and the copious amounts of sweatshirts they were selling and other merch that they were selling were really helping to bankroll Barstool Sports. While Barstool Sports technically owned Call Her Daddy at the time, they didn't own Sofia and Alex, who could have just started a new podcast under a different name, which is something Sofia kind of was considering doing, right? Like it seems like the negotiations were a little bit fraught because Sofia knew that that was an option and kind of just thought like, okay, we're the secret sauce, not necessarily the brand. And Alex Cooper was more obsessed with the brand. Anyway, it's an interesting debate. So presumably worried that the girls would jump ship and just start a new podcast, Barstool decided to renegotiate their contracts. Now, by this time, Alex says her relationship with Sofia was already on the rocks. She doesn't go into too many details and call her Alex, but she does say the following. It was the classic. You think you see something online and people genuinely believe you're like sisters, but our relationship was so awful. So what finally tore the duo apart? A year into CHD, it was so obvious the girls were underpaid that Barstool was actively renegotiating, of course, and they were offering them a raise of hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? They were offering them a lot more money. But Sofia wasn't satisfied. And depending on who you ask, this is either a rational reaction or kind of greedy. Basically, Sofia argued and has argued, she argued this in the pilot episode of Sofia with an F, that they were not going to be paid properly by industry standard, even with the raise, putting them up to $500,000 a year. Even that wasn't appropriate according to industry standard. And I think when you know that Sofia came from the world of high finance, her awareness makes more sense and it seems more educated than greedy. And she does say that on Sofia with an F. Like if a man had negotiated the way she had, she would say, she said you'd basically just call him a smart businessman, not greedy, right? Like this is a lot of this is about sexism. And she's just asking for what's standard. Like, why would you work for less than the standard? It doesn't mean you're obsessed with money. It's just why would anyone do it, right? Like if you in any job, right? Why would you work for way less than the next person is getting? It doesn't really make any sense.
Wasn't it also reasonable? Like, weren't they actually making way more than Barstool was allotting them? Am I wrong?
Yeah, they were making millions. They were making millions for Barstool. Barstool even admits that at the time they were paying a lot of people's salaries at Barstool Sports. They were very, very valuable IP for that particular network. So it's not, in my opinion, this negotiation, like calling Sofia greedy is a little bit unfair. You can have a debate about whether she kind of became erratic later and hard to negotiate with, but I don't think she was greedy.
I don't think so.
Yeah, male podcasters were earning millions, right, for bringing in similar ratings. Okay, so as it's described in Call Her Alex, Sofia just walked away from negotiations, basically.
Okay.
They kind of gloss over it in the documentary, but was that the extent of what happened? It is not, right? There's a lot more details, which Alex herself did previously vlog about and Sofia has spoken about on her podcast. So after Alex signed her solo deal with Barstool Sports, Sofia refers to what happened next on her podcast as, quote, a smear campaign. She basically believed that she was characterized as lazy and submissive. She didn't like the characterization that it was her boyfriend, Peter Nelson, who was negotiating for her and telling her what to do and telling her to reject the offer because she had a business background and basically just didn't think that the deal made sense. So he's the guy who kind of is the Yoko Ono here. She basically says that she was pushed out, right? And it's interesting because she is aware that Alex Cooper did more work. Alex actually later on admitted like she had a side deal where she was given a raise by Barstool for editing the podcast. But Sofia has said she said on Money Buys Happiness, which is a YouTube show that she was interviewed on, basically like she didn't understand why they couldn't just get someone else to edit it. Because yes, it does take a lot to edit the way that Alex Cooper was editing. She's spending like 12 hours editing each episode, which in my opinion, you can't tell.
No. So, also 12 hours is a lot to be editing a podcast episode.
Yeah. So Sofia just sort of basically was like, this is a control issue you have. It doesn't mean you deserve more money. We could just like let someone else do it, was her standpoint.
Yeah.
And Sofia also sent a text during their friendship breakup which she reads on her show, where she refers to the skills that Alex has as menial and hers as intangible, because Alex used, according to Sofia, Alex used ghostwriters, right? So she didn't write her own jokes, whereas Sofia says she did write her own jokes. So she actually was, in her mind, the creative life force behind Call Her Daddy. So Sofia says she came up with Unwell. That was her contribution, and a lot of other things that made Call Her Daddy special. So the way she sees it, she was doing more important work, and the extra work Alex was doing, Sofia just kind of thinks was a symptom of Alex's control issues and was also unnecessary. It's like, do you really want to get credit for something that doesn't need to be done? Right? I don't know. And this is why work partnerships are so difficult, because if one person really thinks extra work that isn't adding a lot of value needs to be done, and they want to get extra credit for that, I don't know. Do you give it to them? I don't know.
This is really interesting. So, like, you and I are friends. We do this show. We're pretty easy. You and I don't fight. We've never fought. Like, I can't see that happening. And we had a very similar conversation recently. I edit the show, and we were talking about the way we split things, and it was the easiest conversation of my life. And I feel like, listen, I can't write a screed for how this kind of thing works better, but I think if you're going to do something like this and you're already friends, it helps if you already have a relationship that's really easy and flows well, and you understand and respect each other. That's what I've learned from us working together, which is very lucky, because I know not a lot of people have that. My sense with these two is that there was no respect for each other up until some point, maybe not always, right? And I think if you're getting to the point where you are rating each other on how much the other one does, this one uses ghostwriter, this one's editing when she doesn't have to, like, whatever it is, you shouldn't be nitpicking like that if you have respect for each other. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I think it just got toxic. I think at the end of the day, these two people were not compatible enough to live together, be best friends, and work together, which most people aren't. Most people can't, right? Like, they say the problem with modern marriage is we expect too much from our spouses. This is kind of the business partnership equivalent. You guys are expecting too much from each other, and at a certain point, it's not going to work out. So Alex took the deal. It saw her make a lot of money, again, according to Sofia, below industry standard. But the most important part was, after a year, she was able to walk away with the ownership rights to Call Her Daddy. So that was, I think, the big incentive to get that. And she has profited off of those.
I think it's interesting that when she got her raise, she didn't tell Sofia.
No, she didn't tell Sofia, which Sofia was really upset about.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Basically, Alex says she didn't tell Sofia because Sofia made her feel uncomfortable about doing more work.
That's terrible.
Yeah, she claims that Sofia would kind of say that they edited the podcast together, which, if she did, is very unfair. Like, that's not a fair thing to say if you don't participate in it. Like, I don't claim I edit this podcast. Sadaf does that. I don't know how. So, but then again, I guess Sofia might respond by saying, like, well, Alex pretends she writes the show and she doesn't.
Again, I think it goes back to that thing. It's just respect. Like, I can't imagine you and I having a similar issue. Like, I've thought about this before, and I think, I don't know, maybe we're very lucky we haven't had that. We also don't live together and record like 10 times a week. Maybe that would be our undoing. I think when you get to that point, yeah, it's a good idea to step away, because it's clearly not working. It got so toxic. If you're attacking each other to this degree, you cannot be working together. It's not healthy. And I think it's really unfortunate, because they clearly had a little bit of magic together that worked for people. It makes me a little sad, but they probably did what was best for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the long term, it was best for them. I mean, for what it's worth, Alex no longer collaborates with MILF Hunter either. He felt alienated and walked away as well. Anyway, so that's what happened. I mean, Alex did say that she wanted to remain a duo, but she basically said the daddy gang is bigger than Sofia and me in her response to this. When the partnership still first broke up, she says the daddy gang is bigger than Sofia and me, which I think is a really grandiose way to talk about your podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, it all makes me eye roll. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, basically Alex has a lot of accusations, and you can watch the full video on YouTube. Alex essentially accuses Sofia of negotiating in bad faith, which is a pretty big accusation, and also accuses Sofia of leaking their draft contract with Barstool, the new contract, to the New York Post. She kind of implies that she or her boyfriend leaked it to the New York Post to make Barstool look bad, to which I would say, would it have made them look bad if the terms weren't unfair by industry standard?
Yeah, like, is that such a bad thing? I'm confused there. But you know what's interesting here? This is Alex playing a side, right? Like she's choosing to take the Barstool Portnoy side, which I think is very calculated. Very calculated.
Yeah. And Sofia did pay consequences. I mean, she was cut out of the deal and subsequent deals that have earned Alex Cooper many millions of dollars. But an interesting thing that happened, which is really upsetting, is that a lot of fans turned on Sofia, and Sofia actually even got death threats. So Sofia suffers from depression, and she even sent Alex a text, which she shares on Sofia with an F in the pilot, about how like Alex knew she suffered from depression. And like, honestly, Sofia was pretty astounded that Alex would treat her this way and kind of expose her to all this vitriol, given that her best friend knew her mental health concerns. And listen, like, yeah, that is pretty horrible. Like, you should be making sure that no one is vilifying your friend because she's still a person. Even if you felt like she was really bad at negotiating and felt like she was kind of being a jerk to Barstool Sports during the negotiation process, like, I mean, I don't know, like, have, in my opinion, they're still your friend, or they were. Maybe be kinder. I don't know. But then again, maybe there's stuff Alex isn't telling us that Sofia did to her. So it's really hard to adjudicate these things because not everyone necessarily is sharing everything, right? Some people might be holding back the most damning or painful details. So I don't know, right? Feuds are really hard to adjudicate, even public feuds.
Yeah.
So it's hard. So Sadaf, was Sofia cut out, or do you think she really was a roadblock who needed to be removed? She didn't seem to want to sign with Barstool Sports. She kept asking for more and more money, which basically Alex said was preventing them from recording more podcasts, and she wanted to be there for the daddy gang. What do you think? Was it necessary to cut Sofia out?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, like I said before, I think it's good that they parted ways because clearly it got way too toxic to be functional and also just destroyed their friendship, which is really sad. But I feel like Sofia was onto something because, as we know, Alex makes so much now. Like, there was a lot of money to be had. And as you pointed out, Sofia has this great finance background. She probably knew what the hell she was talking about. And Barstool is a company to be associated with. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if they were maybe even playing these girls against each other a little bit. And I think Alex certainly didn't help herself because even just by not sharing the fact that she had a raise with Sofia, I think is really sinister. Like, at least you should be open with each other about what you're dealing with. So I think it was good for Sofia to no longer be a part of it. I don't like if it was more that she was cut by Alex. If it was that she chose to go, then I think that's better. But I think Alex kind of taking over in the way she did, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. It just doesn't. They created this company together, you know, like, and allegedly MILF Hunter even created the brand. So what about MILF Hunter?
Justice for MILF Hunter.
Justice for MILF Hunter.
A sentence I never thought I'd say.
No.
Well, Alex Cooper has gone on to thrive sans Sofia. She has a new business partner, her husband, Matt Kaplan. Alex Cooper has gone on to thrive sans Sofia. She has a new business partner, her husband, Matt Kaplan. I'm not saying Alex is a guy's girl, but this is a classic guy's girl move. Matt is the founder and CEO of Ace Entertainment. After he and Alex first met during a Zoom meeting, she dubbed him Mr. Sexy Zoom Man.
Oh, God.
I know.
This is funny, though, because didn't Sofia have her man helping her previously? And Alex didn't like that?
Yeah. So her former boyfriend, Sofia's former boyfriend, she's no longer with that particular guy who, you know, he had been an HBO executive. He had a lot of experience. She's no longer with him. Yeah, it was kind of implied that like he was manipulating Sofia behind the scenes. He got really yokoed there. Right. But now there's this Matt Kaplan guy who, like, if you watch the documentary, is directing Alex when she's rehearsing her live show.
Really?
Right? So
interesting.
He is kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say pulling the strings. Like, I do think Alex is an equal partner, but he definitely has a lot of influence there. So
that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so she dubbed him Mr. Sexy Zoom Man. I hope a ghostwriter didn't do that. I hope she didn't pay someone for that nickname.
It's not great. It's not
good. It's pretty cringe.
I don't think the ghostwriter was doing that great anyway to begin with.
No. Alex also went on to leave Barstool and get the kind of money Sofia was looking for. First receiving $60 million to sign a 3-year deal with Spotify in 2021,
Wow.
and then moving on to Sirius for $125 million.
Jesus.
Regularly releasing episodes of Call Her Daddy, where she gets to interview the luminaries of our time, from Kamala Harris to Jane Fonda. She also publicly advocates for the value of therapy, so that is a good thing. She is talking more about mental health. As is Sofia in her podcast. For her part, Sofia does seem to make a living from podcasting. Like Alex, she is constantly talking about mental health and her own mental health struggles in a really vulnerable way. Sofia has recently revealed some happy news. She is pre-engaged, so she's talking about marriage and making plans to eventually move to Europe, where this guy she's very seriously involved
Love
with
that.
happens to reside. She was on a recent episode talking with the chief strategy officer of Ashley Madison, and she was talking about the process of like deciding what she wants to put in her prenup and things like that. So, I mean, I would say she's pre-engaged, so good luck there. Hopefully that relationship ends the way she wants it to, whatever that
And
ends
she's
up being.
getting a prenup. We love that. Go Sofia.
Go Sofia. So this brings us to our final segment. Hindsight is 2025, where we choose the one moment that we might have handled differently if we were the subject of this story.
I shouldn't have done that.
So Sadaf, what would that be for you?
There's probably about 100 things, but I think the big one for me right now, as we just went over all of this, is that I wish these two had been a little bit more civil with each other when they were having those contract discussions or renegotiations with Barstool, because to know how much Alex makes today is mind-boggling. Guys, Call Her Daddy is the #1 podcast in Canada. It's the #1 podcast in the US, and it's pretty much always the case. Like, she's in the top 3 pretty much at all times. And you know who's next to her? The Joe Rogans. Okay, that says a lot. So I feel like they could have held out for more money, which is what Sofia wanted. And I feel like it just makes me sad that their friendship got so derailed. Like, you know, and this is me very much putting myself in their shoes as someone who really values friendship and female friendship more than anything. Like, I wish that that was something they'd kept together. I don't like that Sofia is ousted in this way, because she was a part of this brand building and now she's not a part of it at all. It just makes me really sad, because Alex doesn't seem like, I don't see Alex as the genius that a lot of you folks see her as. Not necessarily saying Sofia is, but I think it just sucks when it's two women and they're both losing their connection and it's the men who are kind of reaping the benefits. Like, that just, I hate that so deeply. And frankly, I wish that they'd never been associated with Barstool. But one thing I do want to say, sorry, you brought this up a bit earlier. One thing that does bother me is them even feeling like they had to make things work with Barstool, which is such, again, a masculine and male-run company. Feeling like this is their ticket through. Like, I hate that you ever have to feel like you have to be a certain way to let them take you further and help you climb the ranks. It sucks, but it happens often. Very, very often. It happens in journalism, our field. It happens in a lot of fields. And so that just makes me really sad. Like, I never want to have to see women play that game, although I understand why they did. I want to say that much. But Sarah, for you, what would be the key thing that you'd change up here?
Definitely that would be a big thing for me. I mean, I think that I probably would have walked away with Sofia and started a new podcast. They were a year into Call Her Daddy at that point. Like, I don't agree with Alex that the name of the podcast was more important at that time than the two of them as a duo. I think that was the foundation of their brand. And then Alex went and rebranded after Sofia left. So I think it would have been fine. I mean, yes, there were certain catchphrases they wouldn't have been able to use, like Gluck Gluck 9000. I mean, if you trust yourself as a creative, you can come up with other things, which is kind of, I think, what Sofia implies, which was she was a creative. So she wasn't afraid of having to find more material, right? She wasn't afraid of the creative process, whereas Alex had more of a marketing brain. And so she saw this all as IP and wanted to retain it. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I guess I just identify more with Sofia, sort of thinking like, well, I want to be paid properly and like I can come up with more ideas. Like, that would be my attitude. I wouldn't be like, but the marketing value of the daddy gang. Like, but I mean, to be fair, Alex does say that she saw the Daddy Gang as a community, and she thought that was valuable. But like, you can come up with a new collective noun for your fans, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think they would have followed them because that first year, again, as someone who was not a regular listener, you would hear about Call Her Daddy all the time. That's how successful they were. Definitely, I think the fans would have followed them. You know what's interesting to me? I just go back to the roots. Like, I think about how Sofia walked away from a gig in finance for very good reason, but also it's a very difficult thing to leave a job like that. Like, she knows what that's like to walk away from something like that, of that tall order, because it's what's best for you. She's confident and mature and able to make that choice. Whereas with Alex, I feel like she was someone who so badly wanted to be in the entertainment world since she was a kid. Lest we forget, she did What Was a Devil Wears Prada word for word. Like,
word for
this
word.
girl, you know, she wanted to be in front of the cameras. And like, even now, Call Her Daddy is more of a visual show than even an audio format. Like, she's conquered both platforms, which is pretty impressive. So I feel like she got what she wanted. And I think she was so scared of losing this tip into fame, because in that first year and signing that contract, she definitely went to another rank of fame, right? I think she just wanted that so badly, she would have done anything. And the fear of losing it was probably very present at that moment. Whereas Sofia was very confident and knew, I'm going to be fine without this. And I have to say, like, that, of course, I love that. I love that. Although I understand Alex's reasonings, and hey, she's famous now. Although I wish she operated with a little more depth. That's what I'd like to see moving forward. I really desperately want her to have some better fucking questions. Dig a little deeper, ma'am. Please, I'm begging you. You're the only one who gets to interview a lot of these people now.
It's funny because so many, and I'm not trying to be judgy because I love Gen Z people and I love younger millennials, but I'll see them say on social media, like, Alex Cooper is a great interviewer. I'm like, oh, is that because you didn't watch like Barbara Walters growing up, or you didn't watch like other people who knew how to be interviewers, right? Like, the end of analog cable created a world where a lot of people just had never really seen a news program. I'm like, if you've seen an episode of 60 Minutes, you know Alex Cooper is not a gifted interviewer.
Amen. Thank you. Even Gayle King, Oprah, Diane Sawyer. There is a long list. But I think right now what Call Her Daddy is doing is taking us into a really unfortunate and dangerous path of media, because it's not asking you to, certainly I love to talk about media literacy. It's not asking you to be very literate. It's not asking you to read between the lines. It's so deeply surface level that I find it offensive.
I get it. It's like, I go back and forth between it's bad and it's not for me. I mean, there are some things that Alex does that really upset me. Like, until recently, she didn't really want to get political. It took a lot of pressure to make her do things that were political. And I think basically she did it once people were basically going to say, we're taking your feminist card away if you don't take a side. And so she has taken a stance on reproductive rights, and she did interview Kamala Harris, right? Like, it's not like she hasn't actually made some changes, but I felt like she did it at the last possible minute. That's just my particular critique. Whereas Sofia, on the very first episode of Sofia with an F, so her first solo episode, she's telling everyone, go vote. Go vote, right? Like, she's making it clear. Sofia was much more explicitly political. And that's why, like, having listened to Sofia with an F and having done the research, like, if I have to pick a side, and I don't think you always have to pick a side in rivalries, but if I had to, I think I would pick Team Sofia. She makes some really good points. And also, I just prefer her whole approach to podcasting.
Yeah, it's a little more dignified, dare I say. And again, that's another example where Alex doesn't want to endanger what she's built, right? And she'd rather go where the money is. Dare I say, she might be the Taylor Swift of podcasting. Oh,
you said it.
I haven't mentioned this before, but if you're listening and you were a fan of Call Her Daddy, or a fan of shows that talk about sex, women who talk about sex, I do have another show that I recently started up with my good friend Megan Ray, where we talk about sex a lot. We always have on great guests. We get pretty deep about it. We're getting a little raunchy. We got no gluck gluck, but we got some other stuff.
You've got better stuff. Your show is better.
You.
Your show is much
Sarah.
more fun. It's much wittier. It's much more insightful. You don't need the gluck gluck. Also, Alex Cooper, you did not invent the gluck gluck, just like you didn't invent Post-its. Like, come on.
No.
The show does not know its history. That's the problem. It is not situated in history. It's like, guys, the world did not just come into being in 2017 and then in 2018 you started Call Her Daddy. That's kind of how they act.
That's part of the problem. Pay credit to your influencers, pay credit to your past. Anyway, if you want to listen to mine, Megan's show, it's called Eat Your Heart Out. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you.
Go check it out. Go check it out. If you like Call Her Daddy, you will much prefer Eat Your Heart Out, and then maybe, find even
Thanks,
more
Sarah.
podcasts you really love. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you to our wonderful listeners. You can listen to more of The Reheat for free on the Seeker app, and you can also find the show on the Frequency Podcast Network or wherever you get podcasts. If you want to hear more from me, you can find me at Sahagian Sarah on Instagram. And Sadaf, where can listeners find you?
Listeners can find me on Twitter at _SadafHassan. And if you liked this podcast, dare I say, if you loved this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe so other listeners can find us too. And if you'd like to see us keep growing, and we know you do, we'd love for you to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Reheat, where we've got some goods in store for you. Thanks for listening.